Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome again to another episode on Talk Architecture with your host, Naziaty Yaacob. We continue with episode number 2. This is under the series, under the bigger topic of an article that is in LinkedIn by Igor Goryachev. The overall title is Why Are Design Drawings Getting Worse? Explained by architecture, engineering, and construction professionals. So, quoted by him, Igor, today's construction drawings simply are not what they used to be, which is the thing that is summarized by the research that he did with those professionals. And so we go to the second topic. We've done the first topic, and you can always refer back to that. It's just a few paragraphs of the second topic, and then I would comment on that. Number 2, the topic number 2 is over-reliance on automation and BIM tool. Automation was brought in to make the design process smoother. However, its unwanted side effect has been a lack of critical thinking when it comes to drafting. Taking view creation as an example, automation can drive technically correct drawings that may miss the big picture. Other professionals in the field argue that perhaps we rely too much on automation while creating drawings that are not always real-world need sensitive. Yet, BIM can also be a huge crutch. Without a proper construction practice foundation, the drawings often become muddled when using such potent software, and misunderstandings occur in the field. For a long time, competent pros could catch this. As these professionals become more scarce, mistakes are making it through. A quote by a project manager in Canada. Automation has made the design process faster, but at the cost of accuracy and context. We're relying on software to do the thinking for us, which often backfires. Well, the project manager from Canada just is very candid and says it like it is. The reality that we are relying on the software too much to do the thinking, and it backfires regularly, often in fact. I'd like to also look at Scott Hall's comments, and also the original commenter in the article in LinkedIn. The original comment is Scott Van Tiefelen mentioned about this crucial old school skills are no longer being taught up to the up and coming professional on the post-secondary level. And we talked about that comment in the first episode. And then somebody commented, Scott Hall, he agreed, and having somebody catch a drawing coming off the plotter and immediately redline it is simply gone from our paperless workflow. And there were several comments how they introduce how to work around for that step using the common functionality of Adobe, basically sending the PDF to the review team and they mock it up. The mock-up is then saved for document live tracking, kind of like the old school way, but with a modern twist. So the old school processes cannot be compromised without detrimental effect to the final deliverables. There's always a final deliverables. And there are people whose function is to check the drawings. You would think that the owner of the drawing would check the drawings, but you don't know how skillful they are. So there is this thing here that competent pros in the design team, in the office, the drawing office, could catch these kind of mistakes. Now, why such a mistake happened in the first place? Using BIM as a crutch, using software as relying on the software to be correcting your mistakes. But it backfires because the software is not going to correct your mistakes. The software is going to highlight your mistakes because what are the mistakes that you could be doing? So the owner of the drawing makes the mistakes of the wrong way of construction. And here we see a lot of factors. One is, why aren't they massaging the drawing and getting the right design detail? Why aren't there a process where they actually reflect and pace themselves in a way that they are looking at it again and again to see whether it's correct or not? Where is it in the process that if they feel something is wrong, that they're not sure, that they ask for help? So these are factors of bigger practice. It's a factor of understanding the construction, the factor of new to the game, not understanding how it's constructed, needing somebody who knows how it is constructed to help them, and not thinking that BIM would help them. They're the one who's supposed to make the decision, and not not the computer or the automation. Now, when I first read this topic, thinking that automation was brought in to make the design process smoother, I'm thinking about deadlines, commitments, and the pacing of designing. Now, I'm saying designing. I'm not thinking BIM as a tool for production. For sure, automation could create the production to be faster. Last time it was hand-drawn, so it took time. Where something could be drawn out in an hour, last time it was a week. So what we're saying is that week to an hour, what do you do in between? I mean, there are time for reflection, to pace yourself, looking backwards and forwards, and not rushing it. When rushing it, all the blood goes to your head and you just fluff it. You hit the ball too hard or too soft and you don't reach the goal. I mean, I'm using a metaphor of playing soccer or football. But, you work in a team. So, if you're going to take some time to take things through or think things through, and what is your role in it, and how confident you are to think about it and correct it. If you're taking time to do that in designing, not necessarily production, because much of the correction and the reflection of how the design is comes from the design development stage. Sure, there's a conceptual design. Sure, there's a schematic design coming through. Then setting out, the grids and the basic dimension, because you're going to construct the building. So then at your stage, you're going to develop the design so that it works functionally. Everything works in the sense that the placement of the lighting, the windows, and everything from section vertically to horizontally is coordinated, well drawn out, so that it is well put. And then you're talking about the detailed design of it. If there's a special design, is it you that need to do it, or you give that decision or that understanding to a senior professional to do, or you doing it? Or if you're doing it, then you have to consult if you don't understand. Do you understand that when this thing is saying, the article saying automation was brought in to make the design process smoother? In what way? In the way that the production of it is quicker. Rather than 1 hour, rather than 1 week, you do it in 1 hour or half a day. The automation. But what about those 4 or 5 days? You see, we promised the client, okay, we're thinking about automation. Usually it takes about a year, but then you say to the client, okay, we can do it in 3 months or 6 months. And because you need the job, but then you're reducing the thinking time. When you talk about a drawing that is to do with design and developing it, and also have it produced to the finished drawing so that it can be used on site, for example. So that takes usually a week, but you can do it in half a day. Where is the time to think? You have to give yourself a couple of days. It's not to be reduced in half a day. It's to be reduced to from 1 week to 3 days. Because you need to pace yourself to do the thinking of the design development part. Sure, the process will be smoother for the production, but not for the design thinking, not for the developing the design. So if you are the owner of that drawing, you think, okay, boss is saying it has to be done in a couple of days, but I think it should be done in 3 days. Now, there needs to be a communication between you and your supervisor that I may take a longer time. Yes, I'm doing it in a computer, but I may need more time to design it. And when you design it, how do you design it? Is it manually or with the computer? If you're well advanced, I've seen this before, even for students of architecture. If they are well versed in the software, they could design with the software and they could pull it off. But if they're not, they still need to think it. They still need to have the skills to manually draw it out and sketch it out so that they can input it better into the software. Because that is what it happens when we give our feedback with students of architecture when they design in software. We will start looking at what they design and say, it doesn't make sense. Then we start sketching it. And then they would need to understand what we sketch. So this happens in the drawing office or the architecture office. It is a continuous way of learning how to construct and do detailed design. It is new still for the younger architect. Of course, I'm not saying for the pro. They call it the pro. Here, the pros could catch it. A competent pro would catch the mistake of the drawings. So, if there is no time, then the mistake will be processed to the site, and there could be a mistake just building it as well. So, in what companies, when we think about automation and BIM, we have companies that have different teams. The design team is separated from the BIM team. So there needs to be a lot of decision made by the design team to transfer the information to the BIM team. I've been in a company before where the associate would take care of the first team, the design team, and when it goes to the BIM team or the automation team, they also take care of what's happening there. They make sure in the design team that the detailed design is correct, all the building plans and sections are correct. Only then it goes to the BIM and automation team. Because the BIM team and automation is just showing the drawings in 3D or they're not the designers. They're not the one who think through the concept of it from the beginning. The decision making and construction of materials are with the designers. So the BIM and automation team just run through the drawings, do the 3Ds. They're just at the end of the process anyway. So why must the BIM team be doing development of the design at that level? It's incorrect. They're just producing. So when we argue is that why can't the design team do everything right until automation and BIM, which is the correct way of doing actually, rather than separation. But in companies where it's separated, the quality control is crucial. Or even so, those who doesn't have automation and BIM in the office, they shall we say, outsource it to another company. That is something else, that you have to resolve everything in your office before you outsource it to be just produced. And that is trust that need to exist within the design team, that they've completed the drawings well. Everything is like comprehensively done and integrated. And so when you send it to BIM, it is just getting the production out. So we do have a situation where sometimes we just want to look at a 3D. We don't want to sketch it manually. We don't want to sketch it manually because we were not taught in the School of Architecture to sketch it manually, or we are so short of time, and the practice in that company says, okay, you don't have to sketch it manually. You just let the BIM team or the BIM section of the company deal with the three-dimensional. So when you don't have the skills of axonometrics, isometrics, or 3D skills manually, you're not able to do it, and you cannot visualize it yourself. You'll be relying on other people to visualize it for you. So where is the problem? The problem is in schools of architecture that in the first year already you want to teach them you want them to be doing computer drawings. You'd want them to do automation in the first year already. Whereby when they start designing, they need to have the skills to do the manual drawings in the first year, in the second year, in the third year. They can catch up with the automation and BIM when they are in the industry. Now, this is the problem with the industry. When they take people in, they want the employees fresh from school to be so competent, or they're specifically competent on a certain sort of software rendering skill that they take them in. So this particular person will need to find ways to develop the design skills somewhere. They may miss out. You know what I mean? So that is a shame, really. In the industry, if this article comes out, the article where I've read this before, where Igor Goryachev said comprehensive and integrated drawings have given way to incomplete, conflicting, and fragmented sets. How does that come out? You place trust on your staff to come up with complete, well thought out, and the plan sections, the elevations, everything well thought out and integrated and not fragmented. Where's the trust of this person coming into work and not producing that? And whose fault is it? I mean, we don't want to put the blame on others, but it's clear that schools of architecture has not focused on the core competencies needed for the architecture industry, which is the ability to do detailed design sections properly and a complete set of drawings properly in the School of Architecture. It doesn't have to be in the studio. It could be a technical class. It could be, well, we used to call it working drawings, but that's from my context, from my past. So I've come across students that were under me and who for the life of that person do not want to do manual drawings at all because they're scared. They are so scared that they don't have the skills of understanding construction. When we talk about manual drawing skills, we're talking about construction, understanding about how things are put together. We're not waffling about, we're not whitewashing or whatever it is. We are telling the truth. So this student of architecture, not only this person, but there were others as well. They would do minimum, or they so scared to do manual drawings. They would do the digital drawings, SketchUp or whatever, put together some forms and try to get away with it. And so this is prevalent. They will continue doing so where they work. And this will continue on and on. And at one point, they will realize they cannot fit themselves. Though they like to be an architect, they did not have the skill to do manual drawings and understanding construction, how it put together. Literally, this person that I'm talking about, I was kind of frustrated as well. And I asked this person to look at this construction videos on YouTube and tell me exactly how the constructions are put together. I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know whether this person actually wants at all to do it properly. They just, in a way, lying to themselves at the end of the day. So they go into the industry and try to figure out how to get away with it. It's not the proper way to do in life as we know it. So there you go. This is the second topic. And the second topic is the over-reliance on automation and BIM tool. And I talked about how it's linked to the architecture education, and specifically how it needs to be taught at the schools of architecture. Thank you for listening for the second topic. We will go to the third topic next week on speed versus quality. Thank you.